Uh, Today it's an introductory lecture, and in this lecture, I just want you to be more familiar with the subject first rather than starting the syllabus as such. Okay? तो यहाँ पे इस सब्जेक्ट से रिलेटेड कि हाउ दिस सब्जेक्ट डेवलप्ड एंड हाउ दिस होल थिंग हिस्ट्री, मीनिंग ऑफ हिस्ट्री, इन सब चीज़ों पे हम डिस्कशन करेंगे. ओके एंड यहाँ पे एनी डाउट रिलेटेड टू हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल कि हाउ इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम जीएस एंड व्हाट आर द थिंग्स जो यहाँ पे हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट यू नीड टू we will discuss, and if there is any doubt related to that, then also you can ask तो हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे उससे रिलेटेड. सो अगेन अ वेरी बेसिक थिंग जो हमने अपने ओरिएंटेशन में भी थोड़ा देखा था कि व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री, एंड आई होप ये हमने अपने जीएस की क्लास में भी पढ़ा है कि व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री. Can you define it again? कोई एक बेसिक डेफिनेशन तो we know कि it is study of past, study of past events is definitely your history. But इसको थोड़ा और डीप जाते हैं. This is for general studies. This is the basic meaning which I have told you. थोड़ा और डीप जाके अगर मैं सोचूं, if डिस्कस करूं, तो इसका जो this term history, it traces its origin to historia, a Greek word है which is historia. historia का मतलब है it means your investigation, inquiry. Okay, this word, it means inquiry into something to know the truth. So this whole historia, it means ki inquiry into something to know the truth. That is historia, and from this Greek word we traces the origin of the term, that is. Okay, now just see कि ये जो investigation है, if you're looking at this investigation, तो क्या investigate कर रहे हैं? What we are investigating, that is one question which you must ask. What we are investigating in this history, and then the second aspect of this history कि क्या सिर्फ और सिर्फ investigation ही होता है, या there are other aspect or other features in this definition of history. These are the two things which automatically comes to your mind when we read that history is nothing but or derived its origin from the word historia, that is investigation. So let's see the first thing. इसी investigation से investigation, the two elements की what we investigate or historians investigate, rather historians क्या investigate करें, that is first element. And the second one is, are there any other features? means कि सिर्फ investigation ही करना है historian का काम, या फिर कुछ और भी है? if you define history तो क्या है? The first thing, let's see one by one. What do they investigate? They investigate the things which have happened in past, means the events of the past. But the question is how. सबसे पहला सवाल यही आएगा ना कि how they are investigating the events or the happenings in the past. By studying the sources. यहां पे we are just moving to that syllabus की तरफ जा रहे हैं. But before that I just want you to know कि how this whole thing developed and how what is the meaning, what is the utility, and history as a discipline, when it developed, how it developed, all of these dimensions we need to understand before entering into the syllabus of UPSC. so that you know the background of these developments and you feel connected to this whole. So what we need to invest, or what the scholars investigate, they investigate the past event, but how? So events to investigate kar rahe hain, but how they are investigating it? By studying the sources. They are investigating it by studying the sources. And yes, sources is it's a various kind. We will discuss, we'll come back to this sources again. But एक आंसर तो मिल गया. नाउ द सेकेंड आंसर कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन के अलावा भी कुछ है क्या? इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज नथिंग बट इंक्वायरी. तो हिस्ट्री क्या है? सिर्फ और सिर्फ इन्वेस्टिगेशन और इंक्वायरी ऑफ द इवेंट्स है? नो, इट हैज अ ब्रॉडर डायमेंशन. You can say that history is a discipline which creates narrative to describe the event. You give descriptions of XYZ event in the past which have happened, to describe the event, to inquire into the causes of that event, or inquire or investigate that event, to analyze the causes as well as the impact of that event, and at the same time it also have an aspect of questioning the existing analysis. एक क्वेश्चन भी रेज करता है कि क्या the thing which have been said by XYZ person is correct or not. Understood? So history is a discipline which has several dimensions attached to it. It's not only investigation, please remember. And that brings us to a holistic definition of history. कि क्या है हिस्ट्री को? अगर हम देखें तो इट इज अ डिसिप्लिन which creates a narrative to describe के बाद inquire और examine, analyze and question the analysis. Okay, so these are the things which have been done. So history, you can define it, you can define this history in single or you can say this statement that it is nothing but a discipline which creates a narrative to describe the event, inquire or examine the event, analyze the event, and even question that analysis. एक holistic definition मिल गया. And is in तीनों मतलब in terms का, if I ask you what is the meaning, exact meaning of these terms, so describe का मतलब, say for example 1857, you just described it, or Battle of Plassey, you described it, कि this is how the battle happened. Your any movement, say French Revolution, how this happened. So that is description. Description के अलावा inquiry कि why this happened, why this XYZ factors became very prominent during this period. So the answer to the question why is from this inquiry. The third element is analysis, complete analysis of that event, which includes the causes as well as the effect. And the fourth one is questioning the different analysis or the different views. Someone says कि नहीं, X view is, or X cause, X reason is more responsible for the event Y, but some other scholars say कि no, it's not X, it's cause A which is more responsible for that event Y. Example हम again Battle of Plassey या फिर say your nature of this revolt of 1857 के respect में viewpoint देख सकते हैं कि एक ने कहा कि it is a national revolt, the other one said कि no, it is a sepoy mutiny. So it's questioning of one other's viewpoint ना. So that is also part of your. I hope ये dimension clear हो गया. तो यहां से एक चीज तो क्लियर हो गई कि इट इज क्रिटिकल स्टडी. इट इज नॉट लाइक कि व्हाट वी आर जस्ट सीइंग, वी आर एक्सेप्टिंग इट ऑन द फेस वैल्यू. the scholars, the historians, they get their degree, they learn the processes that how we can critically analyze the available sources and how we can relate, or you can say we can prize out, or we can prize out the truth from that available source. That is the training of the historians. That is what they learn. Understood? So critical study is a very, very prominent element of the whole history as a definition. History, yeah, that is one thing. We just found an answer to this question: what is history? And I want all of you to remember that definition. ये जो basics है ना, that is the most important thing which you need to focus upon, because whenever someone asks you the basics, that is the point. Since you have not thought it that way, so you will be blank at that time. If someone asks you, you are a history student, what do you mean by history? You will be blank in answering that. You will have or take some time in answering that, but that should not happen. That should not happen. So basics पे हमेशा focus. So what is history? We know. Next aspect कि ये history study of past events है. So when this study of past events started in a scientific manner, or history as a discipline of study started, है ना, कि कभी तो ऐसा हुआ होगा हिस्ट्री एज अ सब्जेक्ट इट हैव ओरिजिनेटेड व्हिच हैव बीन टॉट इन स्कूल्स, कॉलेजेस, यूनिवर्सिटीज. It must have made its origin during XYZ time. So we just need to see that when history emerged as a discipline, academic discipline. So that question is the next one. When history emerged as a academic discipline. कब हुआ है ऐसा? Have you ever thought? Have you ever given a thought to it कि when it started as a discipline which is being taught in schools and colleges and universities? It's actually during, I would say, 19th century. 19th century when it emerged as a prominent discipline in this academics of, or schools and colleges, universities like that. And it started in Europe, primarily in Germany and France, especially in Germany. And one prominent historian, scholar, which played a major role in this is your Leopold von Ranke. He is the one who actually gave a scientific meaning or process to this, and after this we saw the start or beginning of this history as a discipline. So who is the one? That is a German scholar whose name is Leopold von Ranke. What he did, he started the study of history through scientific manner, or in scientific manner, through scientific approach. He said कि we should first differentiate between the primary and secondary sources. है ना, एक ये सवाल भी आएगा. We'll ask a question कि how these historians write the history. So by studying the sources, that is what I said na, कि what they investigate the event through sources, through studying the sources. So he said कि we should differentiate between the primary sources and secondary sources first. सबसे पहले तो ये काम करो. Or what is this primary and secondary sources? He said कि we should differentiate between primary and secondary sources. But what is this primary source and secondary source? प्राइमरी सोर्स वो होता है द सोर्स और द, it can be literary, it can be archaeological, anything it can be, the source which is written or documented by the people who have seen the event or is contemporary to the time period when this event happened. Understand? The sources which are written by those people who have seen the event or they are contemporary to the period when the things are happening. मतलब उसको उन्होंने practically देखा होगा. They must have seen that event or they must have felt कि हाँ ये event means सारे causes and impact को कहीं ना कहीं उससे linked रहे होंगे. So if they are writing something, that writing or that inscription becomes the primary source for that event or that period. एग्जाम्पल कोई सोच सकते हो क्या? आज ही हमने जीएस क्लास में पढ़ा है अर्थशास्त्र नहीं, बिकॉज अर्थशास्त्र वॉज नॉट रिटन स्पेसिफिकली ड्यूरिंग मॉडर्न पीरियड, उसके ऊपर डिबेट है, एक लॉन्ग पीरियड है. अशोकन एडिक्ट्स they are the primary source for your modern period or Ashokan rule. Agree? Even say मैगस्थनीज भी नहीं आएगा इसमें, क्योंकि मैगस्थनीज इंडिका जो है वो अभी हमारे पास जो ट्रू कॉपी है वो लॉस्ट है. तो अभी जो मिलता है वो व्हाट वी गेट कि मैगस्थनीज इंडिका को जिन लोगों ने पढ़ा था दे आर कोटिंग इट इन देयर राइटिंग्स, so it becomes secondary then. So got it? Primary and secondary का difference पता चल गया. तो primary source is written by the contemporary people who have experienced the event. The secondary source is the you can say commentary on the primary source, or you can say the further reading, research, analysis on the primary source. That is secondary. Another feature is that it is not contemporary. This whole secondary source is not contemporary to that event or that period. Like Mudra Rakshasa, that is a source from Gupta period, but that talks about your modern period. So it is not a this is not a primary source for your modern period, rather it will be secondary source. ये एक basic difference clear है. ये आपके सिलेबस में भी मेंशन्ड है. इन सिलेबस द फर्स्ट हेडिंग, द फर्स्ट चैप्टर आपका सोर्सेज है. इन दैट इटसेल्फ इट इज मेंशन्ड एज योर प्राइमरी एंड सेकेंडरी सोर्स. So you need to have clarity, and here the beginning of history as a discipline है, इसलिए आपके सिलेबस में सबसे पहली चीज ही, the first thing which is mentioned in your syllabus is this only. So primary and secondary में you should write it, rather write down primary sources. Primary sources are the one which is documented during the same period when the event occurred. By contemporary people. Say for example, Ashokan edict. Say for example, Ashokan edict is a primary source for Ashokan period. Next, write down secondary source. The commentary, comma, analysis of the primary source is documented and is called as the secondary secondary sources. They are not written by the people contemporary to the event. Example, Mudra Rakshasa. Example, Mudra Rakshasa, written by Vishak Dutt. Written by Vishak Dutt in Gupta period, but talks about the Mauryan period. So for Mauryan period, it is a secondary source. Say for example, आज ही हमने पढ़ा है जूनागढ़ इंस्क्रिप्शन ना, तो जूनागढ़ इंस्क्रिप्शन, व्हाट आई मेंशन कि जूनागढ़ इंस्क्रिप्शन में एक तो इंफॉर्मेशन है दैट achievements of your Harvale. So that is a primary source for Harvale's rule. But at the same time, it also mentioned that Sudarshan Lake was constructed by governor of Chandragupta Maurya. So it is a secondary source for that period, Mauryan period. I hope you understood it. So कौन सा ज़्यादा reliable होगा? Of course ना. So the primary sources will be more reliable, and thus scholars, means he that is your Leopold von Ranke, he said कि we should focus more on primary source. First we should distinguish between the primary and secondary sources. We should focus more on the primary sources, and then also we should not accept anything on the face value, rather critically analyze that source. That is what a scientific manner means, scientific approach means in history writing, and then write that was started by this Leopold von Ranke, and that is the scientific approach, and that led to the birth of your history as a discipline, academic discipline in different. Meaning clear हो रहा है ना कि how this history is being written. It's not like कि any source which we found from one region, we just copied it down and we have said कि this is truth. No, it's not like. The historians, the scholars, they need to analyze it. They need to inquire, examine it, and then they write in a scientific. So what we have written, we have not written about this now, so just write down. Leopold von Ranke, just write down. Started the scientific approach of writing history. Full stop. He said we should differentiate between the primary and secondary sources first. Primary and secondary sources first, and then focus more on the primary sources. Full stop. We should also critically analyze these sources to understand the past. ठीक है, एंड ये जो भी सब कुछ कर रहे हैं अल्टीमेटली it is this whole history writing, critically analyzing, all of this is motivated with the aim of finding, or you can say establishing, a cause and effect relationship between all the events which is happening. Why it is happening, that is cause, effect of that event. So it is this causal effect or cause and effect relationship which we are trying to draw by critically analyzing all the events. कुछ भी पढ़ रहे हैं, anything which we are any historian is reading, so he is trying to find that cause, therefore that background becomes very important, and the effect, that is the conclusion, that is the significance or the impact of that. And that when that relation is being developed, so one cause and effect is related to another cause and effect, the effect becomes the cause for another one, similarly the third effect becomes the cause for the fourth cause, like this it is interrelated, it becomes a chain of events. And that brings us to the another definition of history, that it is the study of past events to understand the continuity and change witnessed in the society. हिस्ट्री ये भी है, अंडरस्टूड? तो अभी हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ उसी हिस्ट्री को ही समझने की, दैट इज व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड, वी आर ट्राइंग टू जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट हिस्ट्री. आफ्टर दिस, write down this statement, change the paragraph and write down. The scholars try to develop the cause and effect analysis or cause and effect related to the event by analyzing the sources. Full stop. Thus, history can also be defined as the study of past events to understand the continuity and changes witnessed in the society. Okay? History as a discipline ऐसे develop by the time of 19th century. And where? Europe. Now come to the another aspect of this history, how this history is written, how the history or the same thing what they investigate and how they investigate. So how they investigate, the answer is by studying the sources. The scholars, they study the sources, and on the basis of those sources they say okay, this thing happened. Say for example, this Emperor Ashok converted to Buddhism is an event, but when he converted and why he converted, in different sources we have different writings for that. Buddhist literatures, they say he converted to Buddhism after your this killing his 98 brothers and all, and had been remorse after that, but inscription mentions your other thing. So we have different sources, and by analyzing all these sources, the scholar will see which source is more predictive, or we can say reliable, and on the basis of that he makes that comment. It might be for a single event there are different sources mentioning different things, but उसमें से primary क्या है? Again, the first definition, primary क्या है? That becomes, and on the basis of that, a scholar will decide कि which one is more reliable. That is how it happened. So sources, in sources को one differentiation we already saw, primary and secondary source. There is another grouping or differentiation of sources, and that is, one is archaeological source, the other one is literary. Let's have a basic idea. We will, in our sources chapter, the first chapter of your history optional, it is the sources, and in that we will discuss this whole archaeological as well as your literary sources in detail. But this whole lecture, the today's introductory lecture, is to make you familiar with all the things which we are going to study later on. At the same time, to understand ki what is this history, and by understanding this, you will be able to have that mindset to study that. Okay, so sources can further subdivided into archaeological and literary sources. Literary sources. Archaeological के examples we have seen it, so I hope you can recall. यहाँ थोड़ा detail में we'll discuss it later on, but basic idea तो I have given you in GS lecture itself. So okay, yes, monuments हैं definitely, and skeletons, okay, archaeological ruins में वो भी आएगा, और artifacts, definitely it is there, different artifacts, और burials, skeletons, burials, all of that is same, na? Anything else? Coins, yes, definitely coins, and apart from that, even inscriptions. है ना? तो archaeological sources, when I say archaeological sources, it includes your monuments, means your material remains. Material remains, that something which you can see, something which you can touch, which you found in excavation of any area. That is material remain, and that includes your monuments, your artifacts, etc. And it also includes, this is the first category, and all of this, this first, monuments, artifacts, etc., that can be clubbed in this single definition of field archaeology. Field archaeology, because we find these things through exploration and excavation. The archaeologists, they move from place to place. They first identify that in this place there can be some ancient artifacts or material remains. Then they dig, excavate that region and try to find it. And after finding that archaeological remains, they analyze it, and then comment what we can derive out of it, what truth we can derive out of that material which we. So all of that is field archaeology. But we have another element, and I am writing it on the next page, that is your coins and the study of those coins. Coins को भी study करते हैं archaeologists, and that study is called as numismatics, and by doing so they highlight the benefits, or you can say this, or they highlights ki what's information we can get from this coins. Just imagine कि coin से क्या मिलता होगा, मतलब what they can derive from these coins. Culture, yes, to some extent, because these coins, they do have your motifs of some gods or some pictures or some animals on the coins. अभी भी coins पे आते हैं ना, some motifs are there. So by studying those motifs, the scholars can comment, okay, this god was a prominent god, was worshipped by the people, then only this god's image is over there. है ना? So yes, one aspect culture is there. Anything else which you can think कि हाँ coins हमें क्या बताता होगा? What we can learn from or get from the coins? हाँ, they are political. Okay, some coins do mention that also. Some coins do mention that also because some coins do carry the or you can say have an inscribed name of the city. So it means ki that was you can say that was circulated by that city administration. It might be a possibility. Like your Banaras, Varanasi से ऐसे coins मिले हैं in ancient period, तो that is there. Apart from this political में, it's not about the nature of government, rather the name of the rulers have been mentioned. तो chronology setup करने में भी it helps. The time period and the name. So that also helps in fixing the chronology. And all of this we will discuss in detail. But I'm just through this example, I'm just trying to make you think. कि हाँ एक coin means a medium of exchange. What we can get from the coin, how it can tell us about the culture or the political aspect. It's only economy, na, your medium of exchange. But yes, they can tell us about the cultural as well as the political, apart from the economic condition. If there are large number of coins and those coins of good quality, it means the economy is flourishing. And the volume of coin which we found in the field archaeology, that also decides or that also shows sheds light on the economic condition of the people of the period. So that is how we will try to analyze each and every source from different dimensions. What it tells us about the political, social, economic as well as the cultural aspects of that specific period. That is what we are to see. Coins archaeology का part है. Coins के बाद third is study of inscriptions. That is your epigraphy. So inscriptions are also part of your archaeological sources का. Done. Next, after this, ये सिर्फ आर्कियोलॉजी है. लिटरेरी सोर्सेस कैसे हो सकते हैं? हाउ मींस कैन यू कैटेगराइज इट इनटू डिफरेंट? अगेन बेसिक आइडिया हैव गिवन इन सीएसएस. क्या था बेसिक आइडिया लिटरेरी सोर्सेस के रेस्पेक्ट में? यस, तो व्हाट मींस हाउ वी कैटेगराइज्ड इट? यू आर जस्ट गिविंग मी एग्जांपल्स. Okay, one is foreign, the other one is indigenous. Yes, so one literature which is written by the people who are living in India, means the Indians living in India, that is indigenous account. The other will be written by the foreigners who came to India as a trader, as a monk, as a any other person, administrator, or I would say diplomat also, like ambassador Megasthenes, है ना? He came as an ambassador of your Seleucus Nicator to this court of your Chandragupta Maurya, but he has written an account, Megasthenes Indica. So all of that is foreign account, but indigenous bhi hai. So literary sources, this basic idea about literary sources, it is your indigenous and your foreign accounts. Indigenous and your foreign accounts. In foreign accounts, we have three subheadings: Greek accounts, your I would say Arab accounts, and third is Chinese. Okay. And then when we come to this indigenous, so indigenous can further be subdivided into two. One is religious text that we learned, religious text, and the other one is your scientific treatise. Scientific treatise के बाद भी we can say non-religious में scientific treatise भी आ जाएगी, and you can say your other novels, dramas, all of that is also there na, to other literature, all of that is your non-religious. We have seen religion में your Brahminical religious text, Buddhist religious text, Jain religious text, all of that is there. At the same time, when we come to your non-religious text, scientific treaty mein, it can be your sciences like your astronomy, mathematics, that can be there. It can be state treaty also, like your Kautilya's Arthashastra, है ना? So all Niti Sar by Kamandak, all of that is treaties, scientific treaties, technical treaties. That is what we call them. State के respect में होगा या फिर it will be related to your physical sciences, astronomy हो गया या आपका mathematics हो गया, even medicine, Charak Samhita, Charak, we'll discuss all these things. So Charak was a medical practitioner, na? And he wrote that literature which is called as Charak Samhita. So all of that is technical treaty. Then there are other literatures also, non-religious but not technical. Non-technical mein you have dramas, you have say poems, you have novels, all of that is non-technical. So literature, maybe there can be several subdivisions. All of that we need to, or the scholars have analyzed, and first so they tried to find ki kaun sa primary hai, kaun sa secondary hai. Then if they have multiple sources, तो फिर उसके बाद उनमें से critical study करके they found the real. That is how this history is. Sources का पता चल गया. So we have two major categories. But just imagine, and that is also true, because that our history of your earlier period, I'm saying till your late 20th century, I'm saying, was dominated by literature. We were more focused on literature. Historians were more focused on literature. If they found some literature from a specific period, then they tried to critically analyze that literature and just saw the archaeological sources of that period, or used the archaeological sources of that period to corroborate, to support what they found in the literature. But that is not a good way, I would say. You should analyze both these things separately and then try to come to the common conclusion. That will give you the real picture. Otherwise, it will be dominated by literature. Can you imagine why the scholars are so much focused about ki nahi, we should not take the things written in the literature on the face value? Means what is written, we must critically analyze it. Why they are focusing on that? ओके, डेफिनेटली वन रीजन. और कुछ हो सकता है क्या? ये तो आपके चरिता में मिल जाएंगे, जैसे हर्ष चरिता भाई बाणभट्ट. ही सम स्कॉलर्स से कि हर्षवर्धन became so great because of this हर्ष चरिता only, because of the work of Banabhat only, because he just showed that he is the greatest king of them. And if you take this on a literal value, you will accept it, है ना? एक तो एग्जाम्पल ही हो गया. और कुछ हो सकता है क्या? जस्ट इमेजिन कि why they are saying कि नहीं, जो कुछ what we are reading on the face value, we should not accept it as it is. We should find reason कि why it is being said. Is it true? We should find other sources to support this viewpoint, if there is any. हमें करना पड़ेगा, otherwise we should question it. क्यों? Fictional, okay, in some cases, especially your foreign accounts, that hold true. those people who have not visited India, they have written कि India में सिर्फ और सिर्फ सांप हैं, and like this कि it is full of snakes. It is a kind of distinctive culture. The people they are not having the body of a man or a woman. Rather, they have a different set of body features. So all of that is fictional only, which he is just writing based on either his imagination or by hearing something from some people. So definitely there are that aspect, but more important to that, there are biases. One biasness is this कि you have royal patronage, तो उसकी वजह से you are just saying कि the ruler is great, because the ruler made you to write that. You are writing that under this royal patronage. Just imagine the second thing. Most of these Brahmanical literature, or your religious literature is written by the Brahmins. The Brahmins means कि they are highlighting the culture or their viewpoint, how they want to see the society, how they want to see the whole religious practice. So there is always a biasness of the you can say the intellectual mindset or the political backing, the political patronage of the writer in the literature. So we should be very, very cautious while reading some. That is what scholars say. That is what, and yes, scholars ने कर दिया. अभी तो हमें they are giving us the research, means the book which we are reading, it's the thing which is the final product. Final product जिसके पीछे क्या हो रहा है, what is happening behind that final product, that is what I am trying to convey to you. So that you can understand कि ये final product में ऐसा ऐसा why it is written like this, why they are not accepting कि what A, B, C source say is correct, why they are not accepting because of these. Clear है? Now, so sources का clear हो गया, and ultimately one more thing related to those sources, the scholars say कि we should not see one source as a complete or a true source. Rather, we should analyze the different sources related to that event and then come to the final conclusion, or then we can find the real truth. That is what the scholars say, like D.D. Kaushambi. And this is what he called as combined method of Indology. You should not read only one source, but multiple sources to find the real and ये भी sources का था. और यहीं पे क्या हो गया कि it's not only literary, we should also use archaeological sources. दोनों चीजें साथ में use करो, then we can get the complete picture. That is what scholars. So change the paragraph and write down combined method of Indology. Sources ही कर रहे हैं तो वहां पे just write down combined method of Indology. Scholars like D.D. Kaushambi argued that to know the complete truth, we should not rely on only one source. We should not rely on only one source. Rather, we should supplement and complement one source by another to find the complete okay. So in other words क्या हो जाएगा, we should use not only literary sources but literary and archaeological both sources. And even in literary, should not rely on one, rather see the different literary, available literary. That is what he is trying to convey. And the result will be more holistic, and thus we can have a, you can say, more closer to what is true. Of course, history, there is a saying, history cannot be changed by anyone. That is true, na? History cannot be changed. History cannot be changed by anyone, but by the historian. Historian can change the history. How? Because he is just giving a new analysis. What you have, event kabhi nahi badal sakte. Event, yes, if the event happened at XYZ point of time, it will happen at that point only, but the causes for that event and the impact of that event, that can change. Understood? So history is not static in that sense. If you analyze the causes and effect, so वहां पे वो scholar or historian can change the history. That is what a very famous saying related to your history. Now coming back to this, sources वाला aspect clear हो गया कि how they write history, उसे समझ लिया हमने. Next thing, one more aspect related to this, history writing itself, we call it historiography. There is one more term which you will find. Historiography. Historiography है क्या? तो it is nothing but the manner in which the history is written. That is the construction and writing of history. That is what we discussed. ये सब कुछ जो discuss किया है, that is the history. That is the historiography. And final result जो आ रहा है, that is the history. ये एक process है, process of history writing. How they are decoding the past and then writing them. Okay? So write down historiography. It is the construction and writing of history, or in other words, it is the manner in which the history is written. History is written. Full stop. Next, historiography clear हुआ? What is this? And yes, one more thing, because it's a very prominent term with respect to your examination. It is the process through which your scholars go through to write history. So ये जितने भी scholars हैं, they will use the similar process to write the history, or its process means even the approach. It's not only ki scientific study. Yes, everyone will try to do that, scientific, but there are certain different approaches to do the same thing. Or you can say every scholar might not be driven by the similar aims also. ये भी possible है, and therefore this historiography with respect to Indian history, it can be divided into 4 sub schools. 4 different schools of historiography. The earliest school is the Indologist or Orientalist. That is the Britishers. The earliest school, जैसे history writing जब start हुई Indian history के respect में, so the earliest one were colonial people. They are called as Orientalist or your Indologist. So what was their aim? Just see. Then you will understand ki what picture they were trying to portray. Their aim was to you can say show the Indian culture as a kind of uncivilized culture, where development and all the aspects of your, you can say, human growth is missing. And the Britishers, they came as a Masiha, and they will do all the growth and development. That is what their aim was now. So what they projected is in that aspect only, driven with that aim only. They focused on certain developments of India and highlighted that. Political rule, say for example, political rule mein they will say ki they divided this whole Indian history into different periods: Hindu period, Muslim period and British rule. We will come back to this periodization again हम इसके बाद आएंगे periodization पे, but before that they divided this Hindu, Muslim and British period. And इसमें वो कर क्या रहे हैं? They are just saying कि जो ये इन्वेडर्स हैं, जैसे मुस्लिम रूल स्टार्ट हुआ, देन दिस रूल इज नॉट गुड फॉर इंडिया, स्पेशली द 18th century it is regarded as the dark age for India, and we through our enlightenment, through our policies are trying to remove this darkness and make the people of India more civilized. That is what they are trying to do. Understood? So Indologist का जो approach होगा, that will be different because their aim is different. Understand? उसके अलावा दूसरा फोकस क्या होगा उनका? Just imagine कि they want to know about the Indian culture because they want to rule over this, and thus they will focus on specific aspects कि law से related क्या developments. Asiatic Society of Bengal, modern India में हम लोग पढ़ेंगे. We will read about that Asiatic Society of Bengal. 1784 में it was established. Ultimate work of this was to decode the or you can say learn about the past of the India, so that we can rule the Indians according to Indian items or according to Indian rules and regulations or traditions. That is what the early Orientalists tried to do. तो ये दोनों aim है उनका which drives this Indologist or Orientalist form of writing. Done. But वो क्या कर रहे हैं? Orientalist they are showing, or Indologist they are showing India in a negative sense. उसके against एक reaction होगा ना? There will be a reaction when someone criticizes us, so we will react ना? तो फिर we will see a new approach, a new school, that is nationalist school. Got it? So historiography में एक चीज लिख लेना. First write down this, then with respect to Indian history, we found following approaches in history writing or historiography. In historiography, number one, your Indologist or Orientalist. Done. They tried to, एक लाइन लिख लो, they tried to learn about the Indian past so that they can rule India according to Indian rules and tradition. Full stop. In next line, इसी सब heading में, next line, they also tried to show India as uncivilized to legitimize their rule. Understood? अब इसके बाद इसके अगेंस्ट कौन आ गया? नेशनलिस्ट. नेशनलिस्ट बिकॉज दे सेड कि व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज नॉट ट्रू. अब नेशनलिस्ट क्या फोकस करेंगे? बिकॉज दे वांट टू शो द ओरिएंटलिस्ट एज द और मींस देयर डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ इंडियन हिस्ट्री एज रॉन्ग. सो नाउ दे विल ट्राई टू डिग कि इंडियन हिस्ट्री में एंशिएंट पीरियड, मिडिवल पीरियड में क्या अच्छा है, what is good, and thus they gave this idea of golden past, or you can say this Gupta period as a golden period, early Vedic age is a golden age for women, all of that. वो जो golden era वाला जो concept है ना, that we will find in the writings of nationalists, because they want to question this oriental. अभी तो ये नेशनल एंड दैट इज बीइंग डन साइमल्टेनियसली जब ये नेशनलिज्म का राइज हो रहा है एंड दिस होल नेशनल मूवमेंट एंड ऑल इज सीइंग, तो उसका भी एक इन्फ्लुएंस होगा. सो दिस नेशनलिस्ट स्कूल दे क्वेश्चनड दैट ओरिएंटलिस्ट एंड ट्राइड टू फोकस ऑन द positives, extract the positives from the Indian past. But again ये अभी correct meaning of history पे तो नहीं आया ना. critical analysis तो they are not doing, both of them are not doing correctly. They are focused or they are more driven by their aim. Write down nationalist school. Nationalist second one, second approach जो है historiography में, that is nationalist. It grew as a reaction to the Indologists and focused more on the positive aspects of Indian history. ठीक है, एग्जाम्पल में विल सी, हम डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे दैट गोल्डन पीरियड ऑफ वुमेन, गोल्डन गुप्ता पीरियड एज अ गोल्डन पीरियड, all of that was done by Gansang is a republic. Again, the Britishers are imposing their political control and they are saying कि we are uncivilized, we don't have the capacity to rule ourselves. So what they did, they showed कि नहीं, from the ancient period we are having this kind of system. How you can say कि we don't have that capacity to govern ourselves? So Gansang को republic show किया. Gansang, which is more a oligarch, that is what we discussed in class also na. Gansang has a feature of more oligarchy government, but they showed its democratic tradition and called it a republic. So this is what nationalists were. ये दो approaches clear हुए. In your second half of 20th century, we saw the beginning of the third approach. Post independence अगर हम देखें Indian history के respect में, we saw the beginning of third approach, that is the Marxist approach of your history writing. Marxist approach में, and please remember in these two aspects the major focus is on political history, and it is talking about the kingdoms, the elite people only, not on the other aspects of. In this Marxist school, for the first time we are seeing that the focus shifted from political history to socio-economic. The focus shifted to your socio-economic history, and that is definitely a major development, because अभी तक ऐसा नहीं हुआ history writing में. But the problem with Marxist school is they are economic angle से they are analyzing each and everything. क्योंकि this whole Marxist school is driven by that class-based society, the concept of class-based society, and thus studying Indian history with this class-based society prism, वो again it did not brought or did not created or led to analysis of each and every strata of society. क्योंकि इंडिया में it's not class, it's primarily caste और वर्ण जाति system है ना. So वहां पे if we are analyzing all of them under this through the lens of your class based division, then it will be tough to see their exact condition in the society. So Marxist ने, yes, they were the one who discussed the economic and your social aspect of society, but फिर भी कुछ missing था, फिर भी कुछ missing था, and this led to the next approach. No, that is your subaltern. Subaltern school में what was missing over there? See, what was the condition of the commoners? Commoners, not on the basis of class we are witnessing, but in general, women की क्या condition है, tribes की क्या condition है, even say the untouchables, the shudras, oh, as a group, as a social group, we are studying there. That is subaltern. So the study of the main focus of subaltern historian is on definitely the condition. Commoners like women, like tribals, like your say Shudra, untouchables, उन सब के aspect को, उनकी history को we are trying to even in your new approaches we are witnessing कि gender relation is a prominent subject which is being researched upon. जेंडर रिलेशन पे एक मींस अभी 21st सेंचुरी में इट्स रिसर्च गोइंग ऑन दिस एंड हिस्ट्री इज बीइंग रिटन विद दैट एंगल. अंडरस्टूड? तो ये सब कुछ सबाल्टर्न का ही एनवायरमेंट का रिलेशन विद दिस ह्यूमन ग्रोथ, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट, दैट हैज नॉट बीन स्टडीड इन दैट मैनर व्हाट वी इज बीइंग डन टुडे. तो उसी में हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. Approaches to study history and writing history have changed with time. Your Orientalist, Nationalist, Marxist, then some. That is how subaltern, that is the fourth one. And you can say the new or it started in 1980s. Ranajit Guha, he is the one, he died last year. And he is the one who started this whole school, you can say, in your India. Approaches के बारे में idea लग गया. And yes, when we see or study about any events ना, तो इन्हीं approaches के one scholar of this approach will say something, one scholar of this approach will say something, one scholar of this approach will say like it this, and thus it becomes different view. Understand? Because they have different approach to look at that event, that period. That is how the different scholars write different or focuses on. Clear? Next, इसके बाद और we have seen the approaches. Historiography हो गया, history का meaning. अभी तक if you have any doubt related to your history and your history historiography, all of that you can ask. Okay, it will be same. It may अभी नए archaeology में ना, when we will discuss elaborately, then we will discuss new developments also, like cognitive archaeology, like ethno-archaeology, all of that also we will discuss. अभी तो I just want you to feel connected कि हाँ ये basic चीजें हैं. What we are discussing today is not a thing which is part of your syllabus as such. Few things, approaches and all, yes, it is part of syllabus also, but in general अभी उस पे और भी काम होगा. अभी तो I am just trying to make you comfortable with this whole subject, make you understand कि what this subject is all about. तो हम लोग जब पढ़ेंगे तो yes, हम वो भी देखेंगे. Okay? कोई चीज which you want to ask related to the developments? Just see कि what we have discussed. सबसे पहला सवाल, what is history? A definition, a holistic definition of history we learned. It is the discipline which creates narrative to describe your analyze or examine, question and analyze the event. That is the complete history, definition of history. History के बाद we just उसके बाद how this history is written is sources we saw. Sources के बाद historiography we saw. Then how this history developed as a discipline also we saw, and वहीं से we saw कि historiography में process में क्या हो रहा है. What is the scientific approach of writing history, which was started by your Van Rank, है ना? All of that with नाउ एक और एस्पेक्ट देखते हैं अब अभी लेट मी सी की सबसे पहला व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री, सेकेंड when and how it became an academic discipline, then how history is written, that is your sources we have discussed, study of sources. Then fourth, we have also seen the historiography and different historiography and different approaches. Now we will see one more aspect like periodization of Indian history. Periodization of Indian history. That is also one thing which we need to. Periodization का मतलब क्या है? Dividing the history into different periods. That is what it means. Now, the earliest means कौन सा स्कूल हो जाएगा? Orientalist and these Indologists ना? What they did, they divided the Indian history into three periods. कौन से पीरियड? हिंदू पीरियड, मुस्लिम पीरियड एंड योर ब्रिटिश पीरियड. अपने आप को ब्रिटिश पीरियड का, क्रिश्चियन पीरियड नहीं का, है ना? they just show themselves as a masiha कि हाँ, we are the ones who will modernize the India. That is what they were trying to say. Hindu period is the ancient period, and of course till your early medieval it's Hindu period. But अभी हम इस पे एनालाइज करेंगे कि should we call it or should we not, that is a different thing. Muslim period is your medieval period. That is what we'll later, because अभी तक ये early medieval these kind of terms have not been used. Scholars have divided Indian history into your this Hindu period, Muslim period and your British period. So this Hindu period is ancient, अगर आज के term में what we call it, and we have already seen ancient में हम देख चुके हैं. In your GS classes I have told you कि ancient कौन सा period है, early medieval कौन सा and all. So that ancient and early medieval is part of your Hindu. Medieval means Delhi Sultanate rule. With that your Muslim period started, and the British period actually from your 18th century. तो वो British period कहलाता है. But should we call it, or is it a correct way to periodize the Indian history? If not, why? है ना? Just try to think. Can we call it a Hindu period? The whole ancient period can be called as a Hindu period? Hindu period, when I am saying it is more about religion, na? Hindu, Muslim, it's more about religion. So on the basis of religion, you are dividing the periods of, you are periodizing the Indian history. But just imagine कि when I am saying Hindu religion, एक तो Hinduism का birth ही later है. But just say कि okay, if you see कि Hinduism is a combination of Vedism and your Puranic Hinduism, then okay, fine. But then also, is it only this Hinduism? What about Buddhism? What about Jainism? They were also prominent religion in India during that period. So how you can say that this period is a Hindu period? Should not use that. Even during your Muslim rule, during your Sultanate period in South India, we have Vijayanagar Empire, temple construction, Nayak rule, all of that is there. How we can say that Indian history is, or we can say that this is a Muslim period? That is not a good way or the correct way of periodization, and therefore scholars, and this kind of periodization was even continued by the nationalists. Indologist ने start किया, nationalists भी यही continue करते रहे, but that was questioned later on, and we saw a new and more scientific approach of periodization where we divided the whole history of India into 4 sub periods. 4 sub periods. What are they? I hope you understood all this key what we are discussing. So and this 4 sub periods is your ancient or ancient India, then your early medieval, then your medieval India, and your okay. This is how they divided your or periodize the in periodization का भी पता चल गया. एक और term है which is important for us, which you will come across, that is historical consciousness. What do you understand by this term? वो थोड़ा देखते हैं. Then उसके बाद आगे historical consciousness. Consciousness का क्या मतलब होता है कि you are conscious enough to understand and all, है ना. Historical consciousness means कि the people, they are writing something in a historical sense. They are recording what is being happening in their life. That is called as historical consciousness. They are recording the events of their life in a historical manner. क्या होता है? It's more chronology based, scientific approach के साथ है. You can differentiate between the events. All of that is your you can say the scientific manner of your or historical manner of recording something. So this consciousness, was it present among Indians from your early period, means ancient period में था या नहीं था? It's what I said, it is recording of the events of the life. So the early Indian people, means the ancient Indian people, have they recorded the events of their life in a historical manner? That is the next. वो तो prehistoric people के लिए. If you are saying कि they were making paintings or engraving something on the walls, that is for prehistoric period. Okay, that's fine. And those prehistoric paintings are also a source for historians. But yes, that is not a, you can say there are 2 forms of history: externalized form of history writing and your embedded form of history. 2 forms होते हैं. डिटेल में इस पे बात करेंगे हम when we enter into sources. But यही this historical consciousness से direct relation है with this embedded form and externalized form. Externalized and embedded form of history writing. So just try to imagine or just try to think that the ancient people, they wrote the life events in historical manner or not. सबसे पहला तो ये सवाल है. तो Indologists, they questioned it. They said कि Indians, they did not have any historical consciousness because they have not recorded the events of their life in a historical manner. They are more religious person. They have just written religious and spiritual text. Historical manner कहने क्या मतलब है कि हाँ, this ruler ruled, that policy he followed, and then after this means it's kind of record keeping. He archives. Modern state में archives क्या है? Record keeping. record keeping of the events of the state or any concerned with any person. Understood? So they questioned कि Indians they do not have this historical consciousness from ancient period. The earliest true history book which has been written by an Indian is your Kalhans Rajtarangini. 12th century में लिखी थी, 12th century CE. It was written by Kalhan and it is a chronicle of Kashmir. Regional chronicle है, कश्मीर की हिस्ट्री को ट्रेस करता है from महाभारत period till your 12th century. So that Kalhan's Rajtarangini is regarded as the first historical book in true sense, or the sense in which we study history or understand history today. उससे पहले क्या है? Till your 11th century, the Indians lacked historical consciousness. That is what the Indologists say, and even it's not the Indologist only, rather the Islamic people who came to India, they also said the same thing. Al-Biruni, he made the similar remark that Indians lacked this sense of history writing. They did not record the things in a chronological manner. So what we saw in India, there is a lack of externalized form of history writing. Externalized matlab sab kuch it's a face value pe it's written ki okay, this in your historical manner it is being written. But at the same time, we have embedded form of history writing in your ancient. That is what scholars like the Romila Thapar and all, they have analyzed, they have commented upon. कि इंडिया में externalized form of historical writing or historical tradition नहीं थी. Agree. But we have a different tradition. We have a different kind of tradition which shows कि yes, we are historical. There was historical consciousness. और वो tradition of history writing क्या है? That is embedded form. We are religious people, we are spiritual people, we are more focused on recording that spiritual and religious development rather than the political development. We have recorded it, and within that we need to prize out. Embedded means कि something is deep inside, you need to dig it up. Embedded का मतलब यही होता है ना कि it is something which is deep inside, you need to prize that information by reading between the lines. It is a religious text. Rigved is a religious text, but it tells us about the battle of 10 kings, the political structure, Ranjan, all of that, the social structure. It is a religious text. So we do have historical consciousness, but of a different kind, not as what the modern historians. That is your embedded form, which we saw from your ancient period. Your bardic tradition हो गया, बहुत सारे traditions हैं, we'll discuss. इतिहास पुराना tradition है, Shramanic tradition है, we'll discuss. So this term historical consciousness, you should be aware. यहां तक clear है? Now one more thing, कि हम history पढ़ क्यों रहे हैं? What is the purpose of studying history as a discipline? Why we are so much concerned? Some scholars तो even say कि history is the mother of all social. So why they are so much focus on? क्यों? Just think कि क्यों पढ़ते हैं, मतलब यूटिलिटी तो होगा ना कुछ तो. Why we are focusing or studying this subject, and that too in a deep manner? क्यों? One तो understand the definition को देखो. Ultimate aim क्या है? To understand the continuity and change. So to understand the present scenario, means political, economic, social, cultural, all of that, everything has a past, na? Cause effect. Everything has a past attached to it. So by studying history, we are in a better position to understand the developments of. That is definitely helpful. इसलिए हिस्टोरिकल डायमेंशन तो हर स्ट्रीम में होगा. every aspect will have your historical dimension, because it will help us to understand, चाहे सोसाइटी हो, चाहे पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम हो, और इवन द रिलीजन फॉर एग्जाम्पल हिंदुइज्म को ही अगर हमें समझना है तो वी नीड टू गो बैक टू वैदिक रिलीजन. वी नीड टू सी की व्हाट कंटिन्यूड एंड व्हाट चेंज, व्हाई सम चेंजेस हैपेंड, all of that. His religion is also evolutionary. That is what we will understand, and by doing so we will have a broader understanding of the society, in which if say as an aspirant, if you are thinking, you will have a broader understanding of the Indian society, and thus when you will become an officer and go into the services, then in the field, then you will better relate to the developments, because definitely clashes will be there will be problems between the social groups in the society. If you are a more informed person, you know about the cultural domains, you know about the past developments about these social groups, then you will be in a better position to deal with that. As an administrator also, history is important. तभी तो जीएस में पेपर 1 का ही सबसे पहला चैप्टर हिस्ट्री होता है और सबसे पहला सेक्शन हिस्ट्री. तो हिस्ट्री एज अ डिसिप्लिन भी इंपॉर्टेंट है टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रेजेंट कंटिन्यूटी एंड चेंजेस इन द सोसाइटी एंड टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रेजेंट डेवलपमेंट, एंड हिस्ट्री इज अदरवाइज आल्सो डेवलपमेंट फॉर यू एज एन. के अलावा ये एक चीज और कर रहा है, वी आर मींस ये अकोमोडेटिव भी बना रहा है हमें. We are just witnessing different viewpoints. By studying different viewpoints, we are in a position to see different dimensions of certain event. So that kind of mindset in our general lifestyle also. So that is also good. But ultimate aim of this history as a discipline is definitely to understand the present by reading the. Agree? Now you are open to ask other aspects. These are the basic things. इसके बाद लास्ट में मुझे सिर्फ क्रोनोलॉजी एक बतानी है. क्रोनोलॉजी तो आई कैन इवन क्रोनोलॉजी से स्टार्ट भी कर सकते हैं हम पूरे हिस्ट्री को. तो नाउ आई एम ओपन टू टेक एनी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम यू विच यू हैव इन योर माइंड रिलेटेड टू दिस हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल एंड ऑल, कुछ भी. क्योंकि आज की क्लास में आई एम नॉट हेयर टू start the syllabus as such. I'm more focused on कि हाँ you feel कि हाँ ये history है क्या. And yes, what we are reading in GS is only one aspect. एक ही व्यू पॉइंट को लेके हम चलते हैं. We are not discussing about the debates and all. Here in optional we will discuss the different approaches. We will discuss the historiography of these, means the processes, and the different viewpoints, because different viewpoints are again related to different historiography. So वहां पे हम वो optional में we will, and that makes this history optional very interesting also because of कि एक ही चीज को हमें अलग अलग तरीके से देखने का. Okay, all fine then. कुछ see, history is all clear. हिस्ट्री के लिए वन मोर थिंग, जैसे I'll start with ancient India. ठीक है, एंशिएंट इंडिया से स्टार्ट करेंगे. तो एंशिएंट इंडिया के लिए वन रेफरेंस बुक आई हैव टोल्ड यू गाइस टू फॉलो, दैट इज उपिंदर सिंह. एंड वो बुक हम रेफरेंस के लिए रखेंगे, क्लास नोट्स, एंड वो दैट बुक दैट विल बी कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ थिंग विच यू नीड टू रिवाइज ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस, राइट अ गुड आंसर. दैट इज व्हाट यू नीड टू फॉलो फॉर. So अगर if you don't have any doubt, then I'll wrap up this lecture today. So next lecture में मिलेंगे and we'll start with periodization of your ancient India. Then we'll move to that sources. Okay. चलिए फिर we'll meet in our next class.